The ship moved through space like a silver needle cutting through black cloth. Captain Dongwu stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching the stars through the main window. He had been flying between planets for 20 years, but something felt wrong today. Very wrong. "Sir, we are getting close to New Jeju," said his communication officer, "but there is no signal from the colony." Dongwu felt his stomach drop. New Jeju was home to 50,000 people. It was one of humanity's most successful colonies. They grew food for 3 star systems. They never went silent. "Keep trying to contact them," Dongwu ordered. "Maybe their communication system is broken." Chief Science Officer He Jin walked up to him. She was a small woman with smart eyes and quick hands. "Captain, I have been listening for 2 hours. There is nothing. No radio signals, no emergency beacons, no shipping traffic. Nothing." The planet came into view on their screens. New Jeju looked like a blue and green marble floating in space. It had been humanity's pride for 200 years. Families lived there. Children played in the fields. Old people sat on porches and watched the sunset. Now it looked dead. "Take us down," Dongwu said quietly. The ship entered the atmosphere. Through the clouds they could see the land below. What they saw made everyone on the bridge go quiet. Where the main city used to be, there was only gray ash. The farms were gone. The forests were gone. Everything was gray dust. They landed near what used to be the capital city of New Seoul. Dongwu put on his protective suit and stepped outside. The air was clean, but it smelled wrong, like metal and electricity. He-jin followed him with her science equipment. She pointed a scanner at the gray dust that covered everything. "Captain, this is very strange. This dust used to be buildings, trees, and—" She stopped talking. "And what?" Dongwu asked. "And people," she whispered. "This dust used to be living things. Something turned everything into dust." They walked through what used to be a busy street. Cars were still there, but they looked wrong. The metal was twisted into strange shapes. Some parts looked like they had been turned into glass. Ye Jin stopped near a playground. Her scanner was making loud beeping sounds. "Captain, I am reading very high energy levels here. Something happened here that I have never seen before." Dongwu looked at the playground equipment. The swings were still there, but they looked like they were made of crystal instead of metal and plastic. "What kind of weapon does this?" "I do not know," Hyojin said. "But it changes matter at the smallest level. It turns living things into dust and metal into glass. This is not human technology." They found the colony's emergency center. The building was mostly gone, but some computers were still working. Dongwu played the last recorded message. The screen showed a woman with fear in her eyes. "This is Colony Director Park Ji-eun. Unknown ships are attacking us. They look like black mirrors. Their weapons are— oh no, they are turning people into dust. The children are—" The message ended. Hyojin found more evidence. "Captain, look at this." She showed him readings from her scanner. "The energy pattern is the same everywhere. Whatever attacked them used the same weapon on everything: buildings, people, trees, cars. Everything became dust in the same way." They spent 3 days searching the planet. They found no survivors. 50,000 people were gone. All that was left was gray dust and twisted metal. On the 3rd day, they found something new. In the hills outside the old city, there was a crater. It was perfectly round and very deep. At the bottom, the rock looked like black glass. "This is where they tested their weapon," Yejin said. "They wanted to see what it would do to our planet before they used it on people." Dongwu felt anger growing inside him. They tested it? Like we were animals in a cage? Back on the ship, they prepared to leave. Hyejin had collected samples of the dust and the strange glass. She would study them back on Earth. Maybe she could learn how the weapon worked. As they lifted off, Dongwu sent a message to Earth. "This is Captain Dongwu of the UES Horizon. New Jeju colony is gone. All 50,000 colonists are dead. The planet was attacked by unknown aliens with weapons we do not understand. We are returning to Earth with evidence." The trip back to Earth took 2 weeks. During that time, Hyejin worked day and night studying the samples. What she found scared her more each day. "Captain," she said on the last day of their trip, "this weapon does something impossible. It changes the basic building blocks of matter. It can turn a human into dust in 1 second. It can turn metal into glass. It can turn anything into anything else." "How is that possible?" Dongwu asked. "I do not know. Our best scientists have been trying to do this for hundreds of years. These aliens can do it with one shot from their ships." When they reached Earth, Admiral Tejo was waiting for them at the space station. He was an old man who had fought in 3 wars. He looked tired and worried. "How bad is it?" he asked. Dongwu showed him the videos from New Jeju. The Admiral watched without speaking. When the videos ended, he was quiet for a long time. 50,000 people, he finally said. "Yes, sir," Dongwu replied, "and we have no idea who did it or why." Admiral Tejo called a meeting with Earth's government. Presidents and generals came from all over the world. They watched the videos from New Jeju. They listened to Hyejin explain about the strange weapon. "What do we do?" asked President Kyung-soo of the United Earth government. "We find out who did this," Admiral Tejo said, "and we make sure it never happens again." But in his heart, he was scared. Earth's best weapons were like stones thrown at a mountain compared to what destroyed New Jeju. If these aliens came to Earth, humanity might not survive. Dr. So Young from the Theoretical Weapons Division took Hyejin's samples to her laboratory. She had studied weapons for 30 years, but she had never seen anything like this. "We are not ready for this kind of enemy," she told her team. "We need to learn fast or we will all become dust like the people of New Jeju." The news of New Jeju's destruction spread across Earth. People were scared. Children asked their parents if the aliens would come to Earth. Parents did not know what to say. In the deep space listening stations, scientists searched the stars for signals. They found nothing. The aliens had come and gone like ghosts, but everyone knew they would be back. 3 months after New Jeju died, the aliens finally spoke to humanity. It started with a signal that came from empty space, strong enough to reach every radio on Earth at the same time. President Kyung-soo was in his office when every screen in the building turned on by itself. The same thing happened everywhere on Earth. In homes, offices, schools, and hospitals, every electronic device showed the same image. The creature on the screen looked like a giant insect walking on 2 legs. Its body was covered in black armor that seemed to move like liquid. 4 arms ended in claws that could cut through steel. Its head was long and narrow with eyes like green fire. "I am Ambassador Krixth of the Veltar Hegemony," the creature said in perfect English. Its voice was like metal scraping against stone. "We speak to the humans of the 3rd planet." President Kyung-soo called his emergency team. Admiral Tejo, Dr. So Young, and military strategist Jin-A rushed to the command center. They watched the alien message with growing fear. "Your colony on the world you called New Jeju was removed because it was built in sacred hegemony space," Krixth continued. "For 200 years you polluted our holy ground with your presence. We cleaned it." Dr. So Young felt sick. "They talk about 50,000 people like they were dirt on a table. The Veltar hegemony has ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years, the alien said. 12 species serve us. They learned to obey, they learned their place, now you will learn yours." Admiral Tejo clenched his fists. He had seen war before, but this was different. This was not war. This was extermination. "You have 2 choices, humans," Krixth said. "Submit to the hegemony and become our servants, or face the same cleaning that New Jeju received. You have 30 of your days to decide." The message ended. Every screen on Earth went back to normal, but nothing would ever be normal again. President Kyung-soo called an emergency meeting of the World Council. Leaders from every nation came to Geneva. They sat in a big room and argued about what to do. "We have to fight," said the president of the Pacific Alliance. "We cannot become slaves." "Fight with what?" asked the Prime Minister of Europa. "Did you see what they did to New Jeju? They turned 50,000 people into dust without even landing on the planet." Jin-A stood up to speak. She was a small woman with a big brain who had studied every war in human history. I have run the numbers, she said quietly. Our entire space fleet has 300 ships. Our biggest weapons can destroy cities. Their weapons can turn matter into dust. She put up charts on the big screen. One of their ships could destroy our entire fleet. We know they have many ships because the survivors from New Jeju saw multiple vessels. So we surrender? President Kyung-soo asked. If we surrender, we become slaves forever, Jinae replied. If we fight with current weapons, we die in 30 days instead of living as slaves. The room was quiet. Everyone knew she was right. But in the deep laboratories under Geneva, Dr. Min-ho was working on something that might change everything. He was studying the samples that Hee-jin brought back from New Jeju. For 3 months, he had been trying to understand how the alien weapon worked. Dr. Min-ho was different from other scientists. While they looked at big things like stars and planets, he looked at the smallest things in the universe. Things so small that 1 million of them could fit inside a single atom. The aliens can control quantum energy, he told his assistant. They can make tiny particles do what they want. That is how they change matter. His assistant, Dr. Nari, looked confused. But quantum energy is supposed to be random. Nobody can control it. The aliens can, Min-ho said. And maybe we can too. He had been working on an experiment for weeks. He took a small piece of metal and tried to copy what the alien weapon did to it. Most of the time, nothing happened. Sometimes the metal got hot. Once it caught fire. But on this day, something different happened. Dr. Min-ho pointed his experimental device at the piece of metal. He pressed the button. There was a flash of blue light. When the light faded, the metal was gone. In its place was a tiny ball of something that looked like liquid darkness. What is that? Dr. Nari asked. Min-ho used his instruments to study the tiny ball. What he found made his hands shake. It is compressed space, he whispered. I made a piece of space-time fold in on itself. He realized what this meant. If they could compress space, they could decompress it. If they could fold space-time, they could unfold it. They could make weapons that did not just destroy things. They could make weapons that deleted things from reality. Min-ho called Dr. So-young immediately. You need to come to my lab right now, he said. I think I found a way to fight the aliens. When Dr. So-young saw the compressed space, she understood immediately. This is not just a weapon, she said. This is a new way to think about weapons. They called Admiral Tae-ho. When he arrived, they showed him what they had discovered. The old admiral looked at the tiny ball of folded space for a long time. Can you make it bigger? He asked. Yes, Min-ho said. We can make it much bigger. How much bigger? Dr. So-young answered for him. Big enough to fold an entire alien ship out of existence. Admiral Tae-ho was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled for the first time since New Jeju died. How long do you need? 25 days, Min-ho said. Maybe less if we get help. You will have all the help you need, the admiral promised. Every scientist on Earth will work with you if necessary. As they planned their desperate gamble, another message came from the aliens. This time, Ambassador Crixeth was not alone. Behind him stood representatives of 12 different alien species. Some looked like insects. Others looked like plants. Some looked like rocks with eyes. These are your future masters, Crixeth said. They once fought against the hegemony, just as you want to fight. Now they serve us happily. They learned that resistance is foolish. One of the rock-like aliens stepped forward. I am speaker for the Thek people, it said in a voice like grinding stone. We fought the hegemony for 100 years. We lost. Now we mine metals for them. It is better than being dust. Another alien that looked like a walking tree spoke next. The Vorth tried to hide from the hegemony. We thought our forests would protect us. Now we grow food for them. It is better than being dust. You see, Crixeth said, resistance always ends the same way. Dust or servitude. Choose wisely, humans. The message ended. President Kyung-soo looked at Admiral Tae-ho. Can your scientists really make weapons that can fight these aliens? I do not know, the admiral answered honestly. But I know we have to try. Because if we do not try, we will spend the rest of human history growing food and mining metals for creatures who think we are dirt. Dr. Minho worked 18 hours a day for the next 3 weeks. Scientists from every nation came to help him. They built machines that could fold space and unfold time. They created devices that could convince matter to stop existing. With 5 days left before the alien deadline, they had their first working prototype. It was a weapon that could create holes in reality itself. "Are you sure this will work?" Admiral Tejo asked. Dr. So Young looked at the weapon they had built. "I am sure it will do something," she said. "I am just not sure what." With only days left before the alien deadline, humanity worked like never before. Every factory on Earth changed what it made. Car companies built spaceship parts. Computer companies built targeting systems. Even toy companies helped make components for the new weapons. Dr. So Young led Project Pandora from a bunker deep under the Swiss mountains. She had 300 of Earth's smartest scientists working with her. They were trying to do something that had never been done before. Weaponize the basic forces that held the universe together. "We are not just making guns," she told her team. "We are making weapons that change the rules of reality." Dr. Minho's discovery had opened a door to impossible weapons. If they could compress space-time, they could create artificial black holes. If they could unfold quantum energy, they could make missiles that convinced matter to stop existing. Engineer Wu Jin was in charge of building the new weapons. He was a big man who used to build bridges and buildings. Now he built devices that could tear holes in space itself. "This is insane," he told Dr. So Young as they tested their latest creation. "Half of these weapons are as dangerous to us as they are to the enemy." She nodded. "That is the price of desperation. We either build weapons that might kill us, or we definitely die when the aliens arrive." The weapon they were testing looked like a metal tube with crystal components. When activated, it created a small sphere of compressed space-time. The sphere would fly toward its target and then expand, creating a zone where the normal laws of physics stopped working. During the HFY's first test, the weapon worked perfectly. It hit a target tank and made the tank simply disappear. Not exploded, not destroyed. Just gone, as if it had never existed. During the second test, the weapon malfunctioned. Instead of disappearing, the target tank aged 10,000 years in 5 seconds. It turned to rust and dust instantly. "Why did that happen?" Wu Jin asked. Dr. Minho studied the readings. "We are playing with forces that control time and space," he said. "Sometimes we get the result we want. Sometimes we get something else." Something else became their biggest problem. The quantum weapons were unpredictable. A missile designed to create black holes sometimes created zones where gravity worked backwards. A beam weapon meant to disintegrate targets sometimes froze them in time instead, but they were running out of time to make the weapons safer. Colonel Daun was training the first pilots who would use the new weapons. She was a fighter pilot who had never been afraid of anything, but these new ships scared her. "The ships are built around the weapons," she explained to her pilots. "The weapons are so powerful that the ships might not survive firing them. We might get one shot before our own weapons kill us." The new ships were unlike anything humanity had ever built. They looked like metal tiers floating in space. Inside, each ship was a quantum reactor that created enormous amounts of energy by folding space. The reactor could power weapons that bent reality, but it was also incredibly dangerous. "If the reactor fails, what happens to us?" asked pilot Dongsu. "Kerwanked, disappear," Colonel Dayun answered simply. "Not die. Disappear. The quantum field will erase us from existence." Despite the danger, pilots volunteered faster than they could be trained. Everyone on Earth knew what was coming. Everyone knew this might be humanity's only chance. Philosopher turned strategist. Junho spent his time studying everything humanity knew about the Veltar hegemony. He read the messages from Ambassador Crixith over and over. He studied how the aliens had conquered other species. "They have a weakness," he told Admiral Tejo during one of their planning meetings. "What weakness?" the admiral asked. Arrogance, Junho replied. They have won every war for 10,000 years. They expect us to fight like the other species did, with normal weapons that cannot hurt them. They do not expect us to break the laws of physics. Admiral Taeho understood. You think we can surprise them? I think we can do more than surprise them, Junho said. I think we can scare them. They have never fought a species desperate enough to destroy reality itself just to win a battle. While the scientists built weapons, the engineers prepared humanity's ultimate defense. They turned the entire solar system into a trap. Jupiter became the centerpiece of their plan. Using techniques learned from the quantum experiments, they began converting part of Jupiter's mass into exotic matter that existed in multiple dimensions at once. This exotic matter could be used to power weapons that worked across vast distances. The asteroid belt was turned into a minefield, but not with normal explosives. Each asteroid was equipped with quantum devices that could create pockets of altered spacetime. Ships entering the asteroid belt would find themselves in zones where time moved differently, where gravity pointed in random directions, where the speed of light changed from second to second. Even Earth's moon was changed. Dr. So Young's team built a massive quantum projector inside the moon's core. The projector could create energy beams that would reach across the solar system and unravel the atomic bonds holding enemy ships together. We have turned our home into the most dangerous place in the galaxy, Dr. Minho observed as he watched the final preparations. Good, Admiral Taeho replied. Let the aliens learn what happens when they threaten humanity. On the last day before the deadline, long-range sensors detected the hegemony fleet approaching. There were 50 ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest city. They moved through space in perfect formation, confident and unstoppable. Ambassador, Crixith sent one final message to Earth. Your time has ended, humans. We see no sign of surrender. Therefore, you will be cleaned like your colony was cleaned. Your planet will become dust. Your species will be forgotten. President Kyung-soo gave humanity's response. He stood before every camera on Earth and spoke clearly and calmly. We do not surrender, he said. We do not bow. We do not become servants. We are humans, and we choose to fight. The alien fleet reached the edge of the solar system. Admiral Taeho stood in the command center, surrounded by screens showing the approaching ships. Dr. So Young stood beside him, her hand on the controls that would activate their quantum weapons. They are entering the asteroid field, reported the tracking officer. Let them come deeper, Admiral Taeho ordered. We want them to think we are helpless until it is too late for them to retreat. Colonel Da-1 was in space aboard the UES. Prometheus, humanity's first quantum warship. Around her flew 19 other ships, each one carrying weapons that violated everything scientists thought they knew about the universe. All ships report ready, she announced over the radio. The alien fleet moved past Jupiter, past the asteroid belt, heading straight for Earth. They had destroyed thousands of worlds. They had crushed hundreds of species. They expected this to be easy. They were about to learn that humans did not fight fair when their survival was at stake. Begin Phase 1, Admiral Taeho ordered. The trap was sprung. Jupiter's converted mass created a gravity wave that rippled through space. The asteroid belt activated its quantum mines. Earth's moon began charging its reality-breaking projector. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Veltar hegemony was about to face weapons that could hurt them. Weapons that went beyond comprehension. Weapons built by a species that preferred to risk destroying the universe rather than accept extinction. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The first shot of the reality war came from Jupiter. The exotic matter that Dr. Minho's team had created there released a gravity wave that moved faster than light itself. It hit the lead alien ships like an invisible hammer. Admiral Taeho watched, the battle screens in the command center deep under Geneva. Direct hit on 3 enemy vessels, reported the tracking officer. But sir, the ships are still there. The admiral was not surprised. The hegemony ships had shields that could stop normal weapons. But these were not normal weapons. Wait for, he said quietly. 10 seconds later, the three alien ships began to age rapidly. Their black hulls turned gray, then brown, then crumbled into dust. In 30 seconds, three ships that had been flying for thousands of years became clouds of ancient metal floating in space. "What happened to them?" asked President Kyung-soo over the communication link. Dr. So-young answered from her position at the weapon controls. "The gravity wave pushed them forward in time. They experienced 1,000,000 years in half a minute. The remaining alien ships stopped their advance. For the first time in 10,000 years, a hegemony fleet had taken damage from an enemy weapon." Ambassador Crixith's voice came over all Earth frequencies. "Impossible. Your weapons cannot hurt us." "Watch us," Admiral Tejo replied. He gave the order to activate the asteroid belt mines. Throughout the belt, quantum devices began creating pockets of altered space-time. Some areas had reversed gravity. Others had time flowing backwards. In some zones, matter simply forgot how to exist. The alien fleet tried to navigate through the maze, but their ships began behaving strangely. One massive cruiser entered a zone where the laws of physics worked differently. Its engines pushed it backwards while its navigation systems thought it was going forward. The ship spun in circles, trapped by forces its builders never imagined. Another ship tried to retreat, but it flew into a pocket where time moved backwards. From the outside, observers watched the ship fly in reverse, undoing every movement it had made for the past hour. Colonel Da-yoon led the human fleet from the bridge of the UES Prometheus. Her ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it carried humanity's most advanced weapon, the causal loop cannon. "Target the command ship," she ordered her crew. The causal loop cannon looked like a crystal tube surrounded by metal rings. When it fired, it did not shoot energy or matter. It shot cause and effect backwards through time. Captain Sungmin operated the weapon controls. "Cannon charged and ready," he reported. "Fire," Colonel Da-yoon ordered. The weapon activated. There was no flash of light or explosion. Instead, reality hiccuped. For a moment, time moved in the wrong direction. The alien command ship, which had been advancing toward Earth, suddenly began falling apart. Its hull developed cracks that had not been there a second before. Its weapons stopped working. Its engines failed. "What did we do to them?" asked Navigator Lieutenant Haewon. Captain Sung-min checked his readings. "We shot their ship yesterday," he explained. The cannon fired backwards through time and destroyed the ship before it was fully repaired at their last port. The damage is just now catching up to the present. The hegemony fleet was learning that humans fought with weapons that made no sense. But they still had overwhelming numbers. 47 ships remained, and they began using their own reality-bending weapons. Ambassador Crixith ordered his ships to fire their matter conversion beams, the same weapons that had turned New Jeju into dust. Beams of energy that could change living tissue into crystal reached toward the human ships. But Dr. So-young had prepared for this. "Activate dimensional shields," she ordered. The human ships did not try to stop the alien weapons. Instead, they shifted into a different dimension, one where the alien beams could not reach them. The matter conversion rays passed through empty space while the human ships attacked from a reality the aliens could not enter. The UES Seoul fired its quantum cascade missiles. These weapons did not explode when they hit their targets. Instead, they convinced the target's atoms to stop believing in themselves. An entire alien destroyer simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only a ship-shaped hole in space. The UES Busan used its probability engine to attack an alien carrier. The weapon calculated all the possible ways the enemy ship could be destroyed, then made all those possibilities happen at once. The carrier was simultaneously blown up, melted, frozen, aged to dust, and erased from existence. But humanity's weapons came with a terrible price. The UES Daegu tried to fire its reality anchor, a weapon that could pin enemy ships in place by making them too heavy to move. The weapon overloaded and created a zone where mass worked backwards. The Daegu's own crew became so light they floated, apart like gas, while the ship became so heavy it collapsed into a tiny point. "We lost the Daegu," reported Colonel Da-yoon. "The crew is gone." Admiral Tejo felt each loss like a knife in his heart, but he could not stop now. Continue the attack. We knew there would be casualties. Dr. Hyojin monitored the quantum stress readings from her post on the command ship. The readings were getting dangerous. Admiral, reality is starting to break down. The space around Earth is developing cracks. What does that mean? He asked. It means we are using so many impossible weapons that the universe is having trouble keeping track of what is real and what is not. The alien fleet was also taking heavy losses. Ships that had conquered 1,000 worlds were being destroyed by weapons they could not understand or defend against. Some were trapped in time loops. Others were deleted from existence. A few were converted into pure mathematics and scattered across 11 dimensions. But the hegemony had one advantage. They were willing to retreat and return with more ships. Humanity had no choice but to win this battle or lose everything. Ambassador. Krixth realized his fleet was in real danger for the first time in his long life. All ships withdraw to safe distance. We will return with the entire hegemony armada. Admiral Tejo could not allow that to happen. If the aliens retreated and came back with more ships, humanity would be overwhelmed. This was their only chance. Activate the Luna projector, he ordered. Dr. So-Young hesitated. Sir, that weapon is untested. It could destroy Earth along with the alien fleet. If we let them retreat, they will come back and definitely destroy Earth, the Admiral replied. Fire the projector. The quantum device built inside the moon activated. It was humanity's most powerful weapon. A beam that could unravel the atomic bonds holding matter together across interstellar distances. The beam was invisible, but its effects were not. It reached across space and touched the fleeing alien ships. One by one, they began to come apart at the atomic level. Their hulls separated into individual molecules. Their crews became clouds of component atoms. But the weapon was too powerful. It continued past the alien fleet and began unraveling the fabric of space itself. A crack appeared in reality, showing glimpses of other dimensions where different laws of physics applied. Shut it down, Dr. Hyojin screamed. The quantum field is collapsing. Dr. So-Young's hands flew over her controls, trying to stop the lunar projector before it tore a permanent hole in space-time. The weapon slowly powered down, but the damage was done. A scar in reality stretched from the moon to the edge of the solar system. The alien fleet was gone. 50 ships reduced to component atoms floating in space. But the victory had cost humanity something precious. The space around Earth would never be completely normal again. Colonel Daan's voice came over the radio from the surviving human ships. All alien vessels destroyed. We won, Admiral. We actually won. But Admiral Tejo was looking at the readings from the quantum sensors. Reality was still unstable. Time moved differently in some areas. Gravity flowed the wrong direction in others. They had saved humanity, but at a cost no one had imagined. Yes, he said quietly. We won. Now we have to live with what we became to achieve victory. 6 months after the reality war ended, Earth was still healing from the battle. Dr. So-Young stood on the observation deck of the space station orbiting the moon, looking at the crack in space that their weapons had created. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, a rainbow-colored scar where other dimensions showed through reality. How long until we can fix it? Asked Engineer Wu Jin as he joined her at the window. Maybe never, she replied honestly. We broke something fundamental. Space-time has been damaged in ways we do not fully understand. The crack was not the only problem. Around Jupiter, time moved at different speeds depending on where you were. Some areas experienced a day in what felt like an hour. Others stretched an hour into a day. Ships had to navigate carefully to avoid getting trapped in temporal currents. The asteroid belt was even worse. Pockets of altered reality drifted through space like invisible storms. Some areas had gravity that pointed in random directions. Others had zones where matter existed in multiple states at once. A few spots had regions where cause and effect happened in reverse order. But despite the damage, humanity had survived. More than survived, they had won. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than expected. Within weeks, messages began arriving at Earth from species that had been enslaved by the Veltar hegemony for thousands of years. The first message came from the Thek, the rock-like aliens that had spoken in Ambassador Crixith's final transmission. Their speaker appeared on Earth's screens with what might have been hope in its stone features. "We heard what you did to the hegemony fleet," the Thek said. "Is it true? Did you really destroy 50 ships without losing a single human world?" President Kyung-soo decided to answer personally. "We lost many good people in the battle, but Earth still stands. The hegemony fleet was destroyed completely." "Then we are free?" the Thek asked. "You were always free," President Kyung-soo replied. "You just needed to remember how to fight." More messages followed. The Vorth, the tree-like aliens, sent word that they were driving hegemony occupation forces from their forest worlds. The Kef, a species of floating jellyfish-like creatures, announced they had destroyed the hegemony mining stations in their star system. Admiral Tae-ho found himself in an unexpected position. Species across the galaxy were asking Earth for help in their fights against the hegemony. They wanted to know how humanity had built weapons that could destroy the invincible fleet. "What do we tell them?" he asked Dr. Minho during one of their planning meetings. "The truth," Minho replied. "That we nearly destroyed our own solar system to win the battle. That we built weapons so dangerous they scare us as much as they scared the enemy. And if they want to build similar weapons," Dr. So-young spoke up from across the table, "then we help them understand the cost. Every species should know what they are risking before they weaponize reality itself." The decision was made to share humanity's knowledge, but with warnings about the dangers. Dr. Minho traveled to other worlds to teach their scientists about quantum weaponization. He always began his lessons the same way. "These weapons can save your species," he would tell them. "They can also destroy your entire star system if something goes wrong. Think carefully about whether your freedom is worth that risk." Most species decided the risk was acceptable. The galaxy was full of enslaved peoples who would rather die free than live as servants. The hegemony tried to respond to the growing rebellion. They sent fleets to punish the rebel worlds. But something had changed in the galaxy. The rebels were no longer using conventional weapons. The Thek had learned to create gravity bombs that could crush hegemony ships into tiny marbles. The Vorth grew trees that could bend space around themselves, making enemy weapons miss their targets. The Kef developed biological ships that existed partially outside normal reality. Within a year, the 1,000-year empire of the Veltar hegemony was crumbling. Species that had been slaves for generations were winning battles against their former masters. But the victory came with unexpected consequences for humanity. Other species began to fear them as much as they had feared the hegemony. The fear was not without reason. During the reality war, humanity had proven they were willing to risk destroying the universe itself rather than accept defeat. That made them powerful allies, but terrifying enemies. Some species tried to form alliances with other rebels specifically to defend against humanity if necessary. They remembered that the same species that had freed them could just as easily destroy them. Ambassador Junho, who had become Earth's chief diplomat, tried to address these concerns. "We do not want to rule anyone," he told a gathering of newly free species. "We just want to be left alone to fix the damage our war caused." "But what if we threaten you?" asked a representative of the Zeni, a bird-like species. "What if we do something that makes you angry?" Junho was quiet for a moment. Then he gave an honest answer. "Then you should be very careful not to make us that angry." Back on Earth, humanity was learning to live with the scars of victory. Children grew up seeing the crack in space as normal. Scientists worked to understand the zones where physics worked differently. Engineers learned to build ships that could navigate the temporal currents around Jupiter. Colonel Daeun, now promoted to general, trained new pilots to use humanity's quantum weapons responsibly. The lessons were harsh but necessary. "These weapons are not tools," she told her students. "They are barely controlled disasters that we point at our enemies. Every time you fire one, you risk breaking reality a little more." Despite the warnings, requests for help continued to arrive from across the galaxy. Species fighting for freedom wanted Earth's assistance. Others wanted protection from the hegemony's remaining forces. President Kyung-soo aged 10 years in the 2 years after the war. The weight of being the leader of the galaxy's most feared species was enormous. "I never wanted this," he told Admiral Tejo during one of their private conversations. "I wanted to be president of Earth, not the unofficial ruler of half the galaxy." "None of us wanted this," the Admiral replied. "But here we are. The question is, what do we do with the power we have?" The answer came gradually. Humanity began to serve as protectors for species that could not protect themselves. They mediated disputes between former hegemony subjects. They helped rebuild worlds that had been damaged by centuries of slavery, but they also made it clear that their protection came with conditions. Species under Earth's protection could not attack each other. They could not restart the cycle of conquest and slavery that had defined the galaxy for so long. Dr. Hyejin, now director of the Galactic Monitoring Station, kept watch for signs of new threats. Her instruments could detect quantum weapon signatures from anywhere in the galaxy. "The hegemony is not completely gone," she reported during a security briefing. "They still control about 30 star systems in the galactic core. They are rebuilding their fleet." "Let them," Admiral Tejo said. "If they are stupid enough to attack us again, we will finish what we started." But privately, he hoped it would not come to that. The reality war had shown humanity what they could become when pushed to the edge of extinction. They had become something that could tear holes in the universe itself. As the second anniversary of New Jeju's destruction approached, humanity held memorial services across Earth. 50,000 names were read aloud in ceremonies around the ER. World President Kyung-soo gave a speech that was broadcast to every human settlement and allied world in the galaxy. 2 years ago, we lost 50,000 people to an enemy that thought we were weak. They were wrong about our weakness, but they taught us something important about ourselves. When we are threatened with extinction, we will do anything to survive. Anything at all." He paused, looking directly at the camera. "We became something new during the reality war. We became the species that other species fear. That is a heavy responsibility. We must use our power wisely, because the weapons that saved us could just as easily destroy everything we fought to protect." Engineer Junho had the final word in his personal journal, which was later published as a book about the war. "We started as farmers on New Jeju. We became warriors when warriors were needed. Then we became something beyond warriors. We became the species that could break reality itself to win a battle. Now we must decide what we become next. The galaxy is watching. The universe is waiting. And somewhere in the quantum foam, the scars we left in space-time are reminding us that some victories cost more than defeats. Humanity had won the war, but the true test was just beginning. They had to prove they could be trusted with weapons beyond comprehension. They had to show the galaxy that the species that would risk destroying the universe to avoid extinction could also choose restraint when victory was already theirs. The future would show whether they were worthy of the terrible power they had claimed.